Hi everyone, welcome to the beginning of our journey together. Logan talked about this on Sunday and I even alluded to it in December, but we are going to commit as a church to cultivating our communion with God as individuals throughout this year. And if you're watching and you're not part of the fellowship table, welcome. We're very, very glad to have you with us. When I started looking at spiritual formation, I was reading a lot about spiritual disciplines and I was trying to find ways to implement them into my life. And so I started exploring ancient spiritual practices. For example, Bible reading is a spiritual discipline. So what are ways to read the Bible? And meditation is a spiritual discipline. So how does a Christian meditate? And for example, gratitude was a very important spiritual discipline to the Jews. So how do we practice gratitude? I learned about various different spiritual practices and started doing them, and through the late summer and fall I was really amazed. I was having really significant breakthroughs really in my relationship with God, and I was addressing and letting go of sins and anxieties that I'd carried with me a really long time that I didn't even know, and I felt like I was in therapy with God that I didn't even know that I needed, and I was engaging with the Bible in a fresh and transformative way. And I became super excited to share these things with the church for a few reasons. First, because they emphasize the fact that God is personal, that all of us come to Him in different stages of life, trying to work through and process through different things, and God meets us there where we are. The Psalm, "The Lord is my shepherd. He leads me beside still waters and makes me lie down in green pastures," has come to have a new significance to me because I'm experiencing that. One author said in a spiritual disciplines book I was reading that we always try to have a middleman between us and God, our pastor, the author of whatever Bible study that we're doing, but God knows you, the you of right now, more than anyone else ever could. Second, because there are things that you can keep with you forever. Once you learn the practice, you can always go back to it. And I like to think of them like tools in the backpack for your spiritual journey. And third, because some don't take very long and others take a little longer, it's easy to insert them into your day-to-day when you have time, or you can make a plan and do some things on Monday and different things on Tuesday. And as I was thinking through some of these practices, and also added some that are not old or historical, but that have been very impactful to me personally, I organized it into 3 main categories that we'll be working through slowly this year. I think your spiritual life will be more robust after you know all of them, but it's tempting for me to just do it all really quickly. But I think if I did it that way, then it'd be something really cool for like a month, and then nobody would remember. So we're going to look at this like building a house slowly. And the point of all of this is to cultivate communion with God. And so any spiritual discipline, the point is to cultivate communion with God. And so we're going to be looking at cultivating communion with God in 3 realms, I guess you can say. The first is in His Word. This is a place that we go to learn more about God's character, to get to know Him and see how He's revealed Himself to humanity. The Bible is our pillar of truth, and any other category depends on that pillar. It's the most solid way that we can learn about God, and so we need to know how to engage with it. We'll explore different ways of reading the Bible with the goal of not just learning with our heads, but really sitting at the feet of our teacher for the purpose of intimacy and transformation. And the Bible is the fuel for the fire of your spiritual life. The second part of the year will be cultivating communion with God in His temple. And no, the temple is not church. The temple is you. The temple is the person who believes in Jesus. The Lord's temple is your soul. St. Augustine prayed, "Lord, let me know myself, that I may know you." We'll explore forms of prayer and meditation that are more introspective, so that we can grow in our authenticity before the Lord and see how He's moving in us and in our lives. And the third part of the year will be cultivating communion with God in the street. God is your personal shepherd, and I can't wait to explore that. But Christianity was never meant to be something just between you and the Lord. The more we learn about Jesus, the more we see that he passionately loves humanity and he calls us to do the same. And so we're going to see how by loving other people, we are spending time with God. Once a month, I'll introduce a new practice and we'll focus on implementing that into our personal lives. I want you to do it many times every month or each month so that you can learn the rhythm of it and grow in it and be able to remember it later on. When the next practice is introduced, we don't stop doing the first one, but we grow on, we build on it, like that house. Some of the practices explored may not resonate with you as much, or they'll be really powerful for a time and then not so much. But that's okay. Keep them in your backpack. My hope is that with all these practices, you can make being with God a more steady flow in your life, that you'd be made more aware of his presence, that even if you're a dad working full-time with a family or going to school or a busy mom like me, you would be able to meet God every day. And one more thing, this is kind of a side note, but I think it's really important. Addiction to technology is a huge barrier to your relationship with God. I used to think I didn't have any time to be with God, but when I did have some time here or there, I would get on my phone, on Facebook usually or whatever. And in the fall, I decided I only was going to get on social media. And it doesn't matter for you if it's social media, it can be any other thing on your phone. But I decided in the fall that I would only get on it like at certain times or under certain circumstances. And when I did that, I discovered that I actually did have time to be with God. And I was using that time to cultivate my relationship with him instead of looking at things that don't really matter, honestly. And I was much happier. And in the past few weeks, I confess that I've lapsed back into using my phone a little more than I would like to, but I'm recommitting myself to be more strict with that, and I would love to encourage any of you guys to do it, because I really saw a huge difference in just being more aware and growing with the Lord. So that's it for now. And get ready for next week when we start our first practice in cultivating communion with God and his word. Have a great week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.